Whenever you're ready. All right. We all live?
Yeah.
All set? All right, at this time, we'll open the public hearing. Each person desiring to speak will be allowed 3 minutes to voice their opinion.
Nope.
Never mind.
We gotta call the meeting to order
Okay.
first, and then
Okay, got it.
adopt the
Sorry.
agenda, and then have the public hearing.
My
Sorry.
bad. It's been a year, so I apologize. All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Meeting's now in session. First item is to adopt the agenda.
I have a couple of changes.
Okay?
Section F, item 8, please change that to fiscal year from 25 to 24. And section B, presentation, change that to section K. And then I have a short notice item, New Bridge Well and Booster Pump House.
Okay. What was that second one again, please?
Yeah, what was it? I don't have a section.
These are speaker phones.
What was the second agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry. The second item is, it says section B, presentation, needs to be section K. It's just a correction and it was a typo.
Oh,
Okay.
It's my speakers.
Okay. All right, we have those changes noted. Motion to adopt from Mr. Keys.
Second.
Second from Mr. Filer. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the agenda is adopted. Okay, now,
Mr. Chair, if everybody could pull their mics down.
absolutely. Thank you. All right, now at this time, we will open the public hearing. Each person desiring to speak will be allowed 3 minutes to voice their opinion. There will be no interaction with the board. We're holding the public hearing to receive comments from the public regarding the proposed 5% increase in water and sewer rates. Be done.
Yeah, just call them.
Okay, Deborah Stallings. Circle back on that one, I guess. Vicky Hart.
Just a point of clarification, this is just for the water rate increase, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Vicki Hart, Acting Mayor of the Town of Louisa. I would like to tell you that we have preemptively recommended a 5% increase in our rates to coincide with the recommendation from the Water Authority, which hopefully will be approved next week. My concern is long-term asset management because our infrastructure seems to be breaking down quite a bit lately, and we pay half the bill for any sewage treatment plant maintenance activities, so I would appreciate it if I could get a report from you on what is the status of the equipment that is out there in the piping and what potential replacements we're looking at, because we definitely need an asset management plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we allowed to add her second?
Mark Renner.
First and foremost, Mark Renner from Spring Creek, and I voted Green Springs, I guess, I'm supposed to tell you? All right, so, thank you for this opportunity. I prepared a bio for your review of myself, so I don't have to waste those 3 minutes of my time. I'm here on behalf of most of the water irrigators at Spring Creek, the homeowners. My background, as you'll see, has been water management for over 50 years. My passion is how do we save our most precious commodity, water, and that probably isn't what you want to hear. You want you want people to use water. Their concern is the sewer rate that you're charging during the time that they irrigate. And I guess this has been brought up before in the past. There are some solutions that you could consider, and that would be educating the end user how to water smart. I'd be willing to do that at no cost. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to educate people. That's what I did across the country, and I dealt with water departments, utilities, companies, energy companies, and we've accomplished a lot across the country in my years of traveling. So I'm here to suggest that we could possibly help you guys save water, but then again, there's a solution that I think you should consider, or you could consider. The questionnaire that I asked, you can see that I asked them, I said, why didn't you put in a second meter? And they said the cost is way too much. Well, I came from Connecticut. My wife worked at the water department in Connecticut for 15 years. The cost of the meter, I'm confused, and I was in the irrigation business for many years. I'm not sure why the cost of the meter is $5,000. But if you want people to use more water, and they want to take advantage of if they put a second meter in, why not lower the price so it's affordable? Maybe break even. You're going to see more people put in irrigation systems, meaning they're going to use more water, and they're going to get the benefit of the sewer costs going down. My other suggestion would be is to consider using the 6 months they don't water sewer rate for the rate of sewer when they do water. And I understand people are going to say, well, during the summer, there's going to be more people at their houses and stuff. But during the winter, you have all the holidays, so there's more people there also. So I'm not sure that's a good argument. The bottom line is, my passion is saving water, which you don't want to hear. But I think there are some solutions out there that I'm willing to help Louisa, because I've been here now 10 years, and I really want this community to thrive. So whatever I can do to help, please use me, all right? And I don't charge for it, because they've been using me for 10 years. I thought I was retired. Any questions? Okay, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Grunner. Yeah, we'll come. Is Deborah Stallings here yet? No? Okay.
While we wait, I have 3 emails that we'll put with the record,
Okay.
as well as the information that Mr. Grenett just provided.
Okay, so 3 emails will be into the record, yeah, for the public hearing. All right, Nancy Ratinsky.
Good evening. Thanks for giving me a moment to share my thoughts. First of all, we are late simply because in the mailing we got, it said the meeting started at 6:30. So we live at Spring Creek. My husband and I have lived in 4 different states. To tell you the truth, when we bought our new home, I had no idea that we should shop around for water prices, because the water prices that we pay at Spring Creek, I think, are just crazy high. And after having a 20% increase last year, to be suggesting to have another pay raise on that, I just think is unbelievable for the crappy service that we're getting. And I'm a rule follower, but like this is a perfect example of that. The time is wrong when you sent us our bill. There's just so many things. The high cost of the water here. Last year we went on a drought restriction, which I totally understand drought restrictions, but how come nobody gave us an idea before it just shut down? And so we had new landscaping. That was just frustrating for me. We had a water pipe hit outside of Spring Creek, and so they shut off our water. We didn't have water for a while. I was hoping for a rate decrease for that day, since none of us could use our water. Many of my neighbors are still not getting clear water from that experience. We had we couldn't use our water for like 6 days or something. We had to boil it or use bottled water. I just am asking you not to raise our prices and to From my little perspective, we've only been here 2.5 years, it seems like Spring Creek is paying for the water in Louisa County. And I love Louisa County, just love Louisa County. Not a big fan of the water. Any questions, or is this a question and answer? Would you like to look at my bill and see the time on it?
Pam?
It's 6:30.
It's a mistake. It was a mistake.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Deborah Stallings.
Ran out of paper.
Well, I'm fine, but I am worried about my water with all these Amazon things going on. And especially ones right next door to me. And, and we've had a couple of times where we've had to boil water recently. And, I like my water. I don't have a well, I have city water. And I don't like worrying that I'm not going to have water, especially when I see all the stuff going on next door. It's not very conducive to living here anymore. And I don't want to move. And I'm going to get teary because I've lived there 30 years. And I had peace and quiet for a long time. I had good neighbors for a long time. People are worried about the Amazon noise once the data centers get up and going. That's nothing compared to what the noise is right now. All the construction, the hundreds of dump trucks of gravel, and I know they're not done by any means. The constant beeping of the backing up trucks, it's horrendous. And I don't know what the 60 decibels is. I don't listen to music in my ears, and I don't know exactly what 60 decibels is. I can run my vacuum. My dogs hate that, but as far away as those are going to be, a vacuum in the distance is nothing compared to what's going on right now. When I got ready to come here for the 4 o'clock meeting, there was a street sweeper that I had to wait for to come past my house because he was sweeping all the gravel from the trucks off the road. I have seen cars pass that street sweeper on 33 right there. There is no passing zones. The other day, someone almost got hit because some car was passing that street sweeper and someone was coming from the other way down the hill. You can't see. There's no, I don't know, there seems to be nobody there kind of overseeing stuff. I mean, I know there's probably construction people, but mostly it's what is going to happen to the water once all these things get up and running. Because we're already, like the people at the 4 o'clock meeting were saying, we're already in a drought. We had water restrictions. I know commercial, they're not going to have, Amazon's not going to have a water restriction because they're a commercial property. I understand all the stuff in town. That's fine. But people should have drinking water before Amazon cools their computers with my drinking water and anyone else's drinking water that is on it. The whole city of Louisa, the whole town of Mineral, I believe, gets their water. So it's very concerning that all these data centers are coming up in Louisa County and we already have a water issue. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right, do we have any other speakers? Okay, so we will now close the public.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have that yet.
Judd, because we did say 6:30, do we need to wait till 6:30?
We can wait, that's fine. I
would
think that's
wait.
fair.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Roy Waters, and I live 2191 Jefferson Highway. And, the construction project's going on, and that's approved. North Anna is approved. But I found out about this project, and my beef is not with y'all for that, but it's about the water. When I moved into this home, because it's city water, I don't like the smell of chlorine, I installed a cartridge filter. Used to go with me and my wife changing that once a year. Then I had to go to changing it about twice a year. Now I'm at a point to where I'm changing it monthly. And if you can see the crud, and I had to go to a bigger cartridge filter just to not to be able to smell the chlorine and to filter out this like brown slimy stuff that, and you know where 2191 is, I'm on the main road, there's a lot of backwashing, we lose pressure probably 7-8 times a day. You can be in the shower, no water, back on. I get the bill, I pay the bill. I pay the processing fee, I pay for the wasted stamp. I suggest maybe electronic, that could reduce the bill a little bit. But, you know, I think y'all are doing the best job probably you can do. But with everything going forward, rate increases aren't gonna fix this problem. So I guess I just wanted to be heard to say that, you know, as a resident, and you guys in the position when you are, I really hope you take this water issue seriously more than just the simple rate increase. You have to have them for infrastructure. But if Amazon is coming in and it's gonna happen, I just pray that you people up here will somehow or another try to convince this board to let Amazon foot the bill to make sure that we, the citizens, got safe, clean drinking water, that we don't have to turn around and, I mean, a 0.5 micron carbon filter, it's about $60. And I gotta fork out so my wife and my grandkids can have clean drinking water. And on top of that, I had to put a UV light in because I don't want to be notified after the fact when there is a boil water notice. It's going to happen. The infrastructure's old, and I know it's getting more pressure on it all the time, meaning problems. A car didn't run off the road and break that line. There was no trail marks. I lived down the street. That pipe just broke. So, you know, some of this reporting is in error, but I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate your time. I know y'all got a hard job, but please just keep the reservoir to give us, you know, good, safe drinking water. And please consider having Amazon in these big pockets. Put some proffers in there to get these guys to make sure that they're going to take care of this, all right? Or try to. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else presently that is going to speak? I do think, and I appreciate you notifying us of the typo and the message. So I do think it's wise to leave this open for a little bit and just see if anybody else comes in and has a desire to speak. That works for everybody.
Yeah, can we continue our meeting even, if we're not gonna talk about anything we wouldn't talk about while we're waiting?
That would be a county attorney question.
I mean, if somebody comes in, we can stop.
7 minutes until 6:30.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty close. Can we just give them a few more minutes?
I hate to sit here 7 minutes and be quiet. Well, can we do this? I know we're not allowed to respond. Normally, we don't respond. I don't know of anything that keeps us from responding, but there were some things said that we can respond to if the board so wishes.
Can we do that, Ms. Smith? Or would you have to wait till we close the public hearing?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. Exactly what are you trying to, you're trying to respond to? the
Well, for
comments?
example, there was a comment that we want to sell water. We're not a for-profit corporation. So we're not here to make money. We're here to serve a utility service. So there are comments like that that often get stated, and then this message gets carried on further amongst the community that does make our job harder. So, and I forget there was another one that.
Restrictions don't apply to commercial was one.
Yeah, restrictions don't apply.
Do we need to wait until we close the public hearing?
Well, I would think it'd be better to wait, and then
Yeah.
you hear the other questions that come in, or comments that come in, if someone
Okay.
else comes in, and then we can close and.
Did you develop like a parking area, storage area, palm tree? I swear, I think I remember somewhere.
trying to buy that piece of property for sale. That's up
Mitchell
for sale
says
right now.
Perfect.
They have,
I've been racking my brain, thank you.
yeah, there's a piece of property there I want to buy, to put like RVs, I just don't know the can. Need to do some due diligence. I'd like to be able to put like RV hookups there, short term. I don't know if the county.
Well, there's already some for RV storage.
That's for storage, but I mean like outage workers to come in.
Oh,
and be able to
yeah.
work. Not like, you know, like 30-day turnarounds, not 6 months, days. I'm not had the bandwidth to look into it. That would be, I think, it would be profitable for the power plant and
Oh, yeah, the campgrounds,
yeah, campgrounds still
the
up.
houses, right?
That's a commercial property, C2. So, can I do it at C2? You know,
I don't know.
I
That'd be a
don't know
question for
either.
the planning.
Yeah. And then if you could do it at C2, then how many, what septic systems and all that can go into place? So if I want to put like 30 campsites, how do I do the septic systems for that? Does each one have to have a little tank and tied to a big green field? Or can I put them all in one green field? I don't know. Yeah. You know, anytime you have questions like that, you get the one.
Mary and Danielle were sitting, you think Mary and Danielle were sitting out there?
I just haven't had the brain
Don't know where they went.
bandwidth.
I don't know where they went to. They went outside, around the hall. You seen it if it was out there.
You can't ever tell without meetings.
Never.
Judd does a really good job of running a meeting, so he keeps it right. Brings people along.
I think the record is 40 minutes. For the record on the short end, the record on the long end is probably 30 plus hours.
How long?
We've had some that have gone 3.5, somewhere in that range.
Sitting at the copier going,
I was there from 12 to 17.
so I don't have access to the building, so I had to get here so I could be in the building and let people in. But Scott was like, let's go get you a badge so you can get in. I was like, that'll be great. So while we were waiting, he got this swiper thing. He said, he told me Bob's not getting one, but he said that'll get me in the front. It won't get me like everywhere, but it'll get me in the front door. But
And this store.
in this store, yeah. But I've come for meetings, and the lady's like, if you don't have authorization, I can't let you upstairs. I have a meeting upstairs. Okay, let me call and check on that. I'm like, this is not Fort Knox.
Sure, I understand all the security.
And evidently
I
there's
know
been-
the times have changed. I get that.
I think they're adding a swiper to the elevator too.
There is one already.
He said they had to add it. It wasn't there yet. So he said that won't work for you on the elevator.
Yeah, you can't go down to the sheriff's office. So because that's all sheriff's office downstairs now.
Yeah, it used to be.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So you need a badge to go down.
Go down the steps.
I think there's a swipe on the door now, I think. You can't go down the steps here. I mean, you go down the steps and go outside, not in the sheriff's office. As far as I know.
Hart.
Yeah, they've got that
comment
security.
regarding to
After.
a report our status.
I definitely get that part. And I understand, Charles, that we're in way different times than we've ever been.
I was listening to, I was here for the 4 o'clock meeting. There's so much stuff I heard.
Public hearings just make to give them 3 minutes.
I feel so
Voice
sorry
their
for them.
comments, their concerns. It's not really interactive because if you interact,
Because
it's
I understand where all those people are going. Why I live next to it. But that stuff
and
is
it was just citizen
gone.
information at this point. Things we have on here.
And if they don't figure out a way to pay to fix the problems we got now,
But for a public hearing, it's very Richmond, it's Black and Virginia code. So you want to make sure you get the percent.
They did a good job, I guess they're,
You'll get
that's
some
what they do for a
questions, you'll
living
get some
probably, but
things, but it's really not supposed to
they
be.
didn't have the answers,
Just
and
by
people were
design.
frustrated because they
So
wanted
how do
the
we
answers
answer her
thinking it's
question
in the
instead?
public
We would
hearing.
come out of this
Right.
public
Not
hearing,
understanding.
like all the rest of the things, and then, you know, I'm sure-
It was advertised as a
Okay.
neighborhood meeting.
We would get, county would get more money, but the data center down there themselves. The owner would get more money from the data center than he would from, oh, absolutely, a lot more.
Comes from because of this.
But it
you know,
certainly would be a
how
different
some of it said,
impact to
not to go
citizens,
to
so it would be a
commercial.
lot easier.
That's what we're getting the commercial, because there were a couple
It's just down
instances
back in
of
From email from who?
Microsoft
you
data center,
guys.
it's like 7 of them, right, gigantic.
exception for commercial
If they're
houses,
talking 5
exception
years
for licensed
first one to
automobiles. That's
build
where they're
out,
getting
and
the
then
commercial from.
Okay, but it's not all commercial business.
It's not all,
staggered.
but I think that's where.
And what they're trying to do is force
trucks that
people
they're
to
seeing
a
now
commercial car wash because
are
they
gonna
use
fill out for 20
recycled water.
I think that's where they're getting the commercial
Et
term.
cetera. Beyond when they were actually working and having only 30 people working there and, you know, noise and so on. The other thing I saw in Mecklenburg was the people who had houses for rent, to rent to teachers and farm workers were charging $500 a month. Now they're charging $25 a month.
Okay.
And the only people who can afford it are construction workers.
All right.
The others are being kicked out.
Okay, so it appears we have no other speakers. I do appreciate again that notification that it was advertised at 6:30, so we're beyond 6:30 now. I appreciate those that have spoke, but we will close the public hearing, and it's now kind of board comments and questions. And I'll kick it off by saying, first of all, we don't enjoy raising water and sewer rates. That's not what our mission. Our mission is to serve safe and compliant drinking water and treat and put it back in the environment in a safe and compliant manner as well. Our staff works very hard, long hours, lots of long hours here recently, just with some things that came up, some of which we could control, some of which we couldn't. Really, none of which we could control, but we're certainly outside of our control. Just a few things I'd like to address from the comments. I do appreciate all the comments. First, we do have a 5-year asset management plan in place that we are developing. It's becoming more robust. We started this, I think, last year. Is that right? Last year, 2 years ago, maybe. So we're trying to make sure we're diligent about planning for the future. We're trying to make sure we're diligent about having additional equipment and inventory and things like that in stock for things that come up, like we've seen here recently. So just on that front, wanted to address that. We are in the business of delivering safe and compliant drinking water, as well as putting back the environment compliantly. Like I said before, we're not, whether we sell a gallon more or a gallon less, that's not really our prerogative. Our prerogative is to make sure that we're financially stable and that we are doing that, we're serving that mission that I spoke to. One thing we do, I'll say, last year was a 15% increase. We advertised, I think, at 20.
We advertised 24, and we
24.
increased 20.
It was 20. It was 20. I'm sorry. So you're correct. So it was 20. I thought it was 15. I think that's maybe where my dissenting vote came in last year. So again, it's nothing we love to do, but we do actually not just look at our operations and try to say how efficiently can we serve our customers, but we also look at peer studies and to determine if we're in line or we're out of line and try to figure out why if we're out of line. So we do that on an annual basis as well. Regarding Amazon, that's kind of, I don't want to punt it to another group is in charge of that, but that's not really in our purview per se, necessarily, as far as delivering kind of that mission that I talked about before. We continue to try to work on things to be more efficient. Think about payment, bill payment, things like that, and are open to feedback at all times. And I love these comments, and I wish we had more of them throughout the year at our regular meetings that are open to the public. So I'll just open by saying that, and I'll kind of put it out there to my fellow board members for any additional kind of questions or comments on that.
Well, you did a great job because you covered one of the other thing I was getting ready to go to, which is, I don't remember the percentage that we are with regards, in relation to other water authorities. But I do know we did a study and we were below the 50%.
We're right in
level.
the median, low median.
So we're not the highest, we're not the lowest, we're just below the median charge for water. Our community, this is a statement, and for what it's worth, I've grown up here, it's my home, I commute 60 miles one way to work every day because I don't want to live in the city environment. I love it, it's my home, my family's here. The community's growing at such a rapid pace, it's emotionally hard for a lot of us, particularly those of us who have been here for 50-plus years. However, I heard a really interesting quote today that said, and it comes from my football coach, Nick Saban, if anybody follows football, but he said that the dinosaurs weren't willing to adapt. Well, the dinosaurs are extinct. And if we're not careful in our community, while we want to keep the rural nature we have, we will become extinct. So we have to keep our infrastructure up. We have to improve it, which means, unfortunately, we need more people. We need more compliance for the health department and other functions. We're not here to make a profit. At least I'm not here as a board member. When I signed on and was asked to do this, it's because I love this community and it keeps me attached to the community, and water is a primary, it's gold for the growth of the community. And I've already seen more traffic in this community than what I personally like. However, if we don't start finding out ways to generate revenue to pay for what we've already got and what we've already done, growth at Lake Anna, growth at Zion Crossroads, growth in the town of Louisa, town of Mineral, traffic count, cars that leave Interstate 95 and travel 208 through Louisa County going to 64. If we don't improve our road systems, our water systems, all of our infrastructure, and where's the money going to come from for what we already have done, this community is going to be hurting. And so I think there are a lot of projects we're going to just have to get used to. And unfortunately, everybody carries one of these in the pocket. I don't like the idea of Amazon coming, but you know what? I'm part of the problem. I use this phone all the time. My data goes right through these data centers. I know that's not related to the water again, but it does have effects, and everybody worries. Well, to get to the water part of that is, again, personally, I love this community. I'm not going to vote on something that's going to hurt this community. There got to be water studies done. There needs to be more people that will educate citizens as to how they can properly use their water. Because if we put a water restriction out, it's not because we're already low on water. It's because we don't want to be low on water. We put a water restriction in place so we don't get there. Otherwise, unfortunately, there's citizens in the community that will just start watering their lawn and watering the heck out of it. I don't have that ability at my house. I do live off a well, and I don't water my lawn because I don't want my well to go down. If I lived in a larger community and didn't have to think about that, maybe I would water my lawn more often. But because of that, and that's life, with people around us, we have to do water restrictions. And it's not fun for us. It's really not fun for our staff. We don't have enough staff. We are constantly playing catch up with the growth and where we are as a community as a whole. And it's really hard on all of us. I do think it's particularly hard on those of us that have been here a really long time, because I do remember the days before talking about internet. Everybody wanted internet coming to Louisa County, but they don't want the data centers to support the internet. That's a really interesting conversation for me, and myself included. The data center scares me to death, but if we're going to have internet and the rest of the world's going to have it, then we got to keep up with it, and we need the revenue badly. So I guess the end of that is, we hate talking about water increases as a board. I don't personally think this is a sufficient enough water increase to keep up with the infrastructure that we've got, the staff that we need, the compliance that we have. But I do think we've given it a lot of thought. And one of the things we talked about was we went 20% last year. We can't do another 20%, even though that would be a reasonable business discussion to have. We can't do that to the citizens because we feel we need to pare that down. That's how we got down to 5%. So I really appreciate everybody's input. I'll echo what Judd said. Every one of our meetings is open to the public. Our names and phone numbers are listed. We are appointed by the Board of Supervisors. More than welcome to talk to anybody about what we're doing because we're not doing anything to the community, get no benefit out of it, except for to protect our home. So I'll get off my soapbox, but.
Thanks, Tom. Anybody else?
Yeah, I've got a comment. I'm Byron Wilson. I live in the Holly Grove area. And like Tom, I graduated from Louisa County High School. And like most of the people in my class, we had to leave this area to get employment. We had to leave. Now, you can address growth. Growth is dangerous, but controlled growth and proper growth is a good thing for this county. I have 2 sons. I have 3 grandsons and a granddaughter. And I hope they're not faced with the situation of leaving Louisa County to get employment. That's a big deal. That's a big deal for the future of everybody in this room that has lived in this county for a long time. But we have to control the growth. I agree with your comments. We have to control the growth. It has to be strategic, logical, and provide benefit to the county. And that's not necessarily our job, but we are a part of that job in making sure that we have capacity and quality services to provide you as citizenry. Put that away. The other thing that I work in public utilities in another county, and I think we've been beat over the head with inflation so much, people roll their eyes if I bring it up. But it's important that you understand that the equipment that Pam and her team have to buy have gone up a whole lot more than 5%, a whole lot more than 20%. And that's if you can even get it. So I would like to commend Pam and her team and the peers on this board, not necessarily patting myself on the back. We do a good job of making do with what we can make do. It's not what you want, it's what you have. And to the degree there have been incidents, and they've been serious incidents, but the team has responded extremely well in restoring services, and the boil water stinks and the regulations that are on top of that, all that's tough. It's tough stuff. It makes your job hard. It makes it very hard. Your job hard, very hard. And I appreciate what everybody does. But I just want everybody to know that I think there's a bright future for Louisa County. And that we need and we have a responsibility to throttle that growth, making sure that it's logical and contributes. And I think we do a pretty good job with that. So, and I also, as Tom and Judd, appreciate everybody that stood up and made comments, and thank you for your valued service at no cost. That's a very unusual proposal you have. But thanks everybody for showing up tonight. It means a lot.
Pam, you mentioned, it was mentioned in that last neighborhood meeting that restrictions don't apply to commercial entities, and that's totally false. The same restrictions apply to commercial entities as they do to residential. There are no difference in restrictions, whether it be Amazon or anybody else. Amazon's plans, as they've talked to the county, the 2 existing as well as the new that they're talking about now, have understandings in them, and I guess MOUs that eventually will be developed, that they will not take the water when it's needed here in low water conditions. They will restrict their operation of their computers at that point. The safe yield is done by independent agencies or independent consultants of what that reservoir can provide in a safe yield annual basis. And we're taking a very small portion of that. Amazon is paying for infrastructure, or will pay back the county for some infrastructure increases. Mecklenburg County, I was just visiting through a consulting job. has 7 or 8 or 9 Microsoft data centers. They built water towers at each one, which helped everybody in the county keep your reserve water available when you do get lower rainfall or whatever. They have a lot of lakes around as well. That's one. The delivery times, Byron mentioned, I think, chemicals that we use in the plants is just, they've gone up 30, 40, 50%. And the time taken to get them and equipment replacements, when a pump goes out, we need a new pump. When we're planning to restore a pump or buy a pump to replace one that has failed, we're talking 6 to 9 months delivery time for some of this equipment. You can call Amazon retail and get something delivered tomorrow morning with screws and bolts, but you're not going to get one of these pumps that we need for the wastewater treatment plant or the water plants. Those are the two factors I had. I saw elsewhere that somebody talked about the cooling water from the reservoir is nowhere near like what Lake Anna does for the nuclear power plant. It's much, much larger up there, and they are cooling water and they're using water, heating it up to cool their nuclear reactor and putting it back in the lake. This is not happening for Northeast Creek. They are going to be buying water and cooling their equipment and putting it back in Northeast Creek, but not in the reservoir. There'll be no inputs into the reservoir from Amazon other than erosion, and we hope that's not going to happen. It'll be treated before it gets to the reservoir as normal drainage. So it's not the same as what's happening up at Lake Anna with nuclear power cooling. This is a whole different concept. It's evaporative cooling, and anything that's left over after evaporative cooling is being put back in the creek downstream of the reservoir. So I hope that clears up one of those questions that came up, that we're going to hurt that water supply somehow. We're also not drawing any water down that's going to affect somebody's well. To my knowledge, I was trained as a hydraulic engineer, and hydrology, the water that falls in that basin and runs off into Northeast Creek Reservoir is surface water and probably some groundwater that comes up, but nothing, you're not drawing water enough to pull anything out of the ground, which would reduce anybody else's well. So that shouldn't be, it can be a concern, obviously, until you hear that that's not an issue. So I hope people will not worry about your drinking water supply. If they took too much, that would be an issue, and that's what we're so concerned about with the board itself and the assurances the county has in planning for this process. And we're just as worried as you that it's going to be done right, and we'll do everything in our power to make sure that it's done right as a board.
Any other comments from the board? Okay. With that, we can do one of three things. We can, somebody can make a motion to go with the 5% rate increase. Somebody can make a motion to go with less than the 5% rate increase. We can't go over, we can go less, or we can continue the public hearing. So if anybody feels compelled to make a motion.
Let me ask a question. The vote doesn't have to be done during a public hearing, right?
No, he closed the public hearing.
It's closed.
Right. Okay, so we can vote on this at any point, but you want to do that now?
I'd just like to do it now. I mean, there's no reason to,
Okay.
no reason to delay it.
I move we adopt the 5% rate increase as proposed.
Motion for Mr. Wilson.
Second.
Second for Mr. Filer. Any further discussion? Pam, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Hardy,
Yes.
Mr. Filer,
Yes.
Mr. Keys,
She said I can't hear it.
You.
Mr. Keys.
Yes.
Mr. Morgan is absent, and Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Snyder.
He's not been sworn in.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that motion passes. Again, genuinely appreciate all the comments and folks coming out. And, you know, our numbers are public, our information's public. Reach out to us at any point, and really do appreciate the input on the public hearing. So, moving on with our agenda. So, welcome to Mr. Jimmy Snyder as a new board member once he's sworn in officially. Coming up. Is there any citizen information? Okay, moving on to consent agenda.
Did we invite any citizens to speak?
Yeah, oh, sure, yeah.
I don't know if I counted the citizens, but I think. Vicki Hart, Mayor of Louisa. The reason I want your asset management plan is because the 2 pumps that you just had to replace is 10% of our budget. We are not the county. They can easily spend $110,000 to replace 2 pumps. We cannot. And so I'm a nuclear engineer, having been in charge of aging management for 7 nuclear facilities, we look way down the line for age of piping, age of valves, age of pumps, so that we can anticipate what's going to be coming up. We need better guidelines for us because these instant failures that are unexpected should not have been unexpected because they were age-related. Therefore, it's detrimentally affecting the town's ability to operate when we have to pull that much money from our budget, and now we are having to cut positions, which we did. We cut hours on employees to make up for. So that's why I'm requesting an asset management plan, so that I can see that we are taking steps to proactively replace this equipment instead of relying on a break before make philosophy. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, you can,
The augers at the regional plants,
Yeah.
what she's talking about.
yeah, no, understood. I mean, do you want to speak to that at all, or?
So, based on current availability of materials in the marketplace, we have been forced to build critical inventory. Part of that process is the determination of what is critical and how to get it. And so we've been working on that for a really long time. It's a slow burn. We went from fixing nothing until it broke to being much more proactive about it. We are exponentially growing. When we had the recent boil water advisories and the failures and quite frankly, somebody broke a valve at Zion. We have had to take a hard look at that critical inventory and how to build it. We went from having 4, 6, 8, 12-inch pipe. We now have 16, 20. We're going to be getting 24 and 30-inch pipe. Having that just sit there for when you need it costs money. So we are being much more proactive about that. The augers at the regional plant, the original one was put in the 2010 expansion, and the one before that was put in the 2008, 2006, I believe, expansion, and then it was rehabbed in 2012 after the last expansion, and they failed. We can't get parts. They're antiquated, so the only thing we could do is replace them. That's the other thing. They just don't make this stuff that you can get parts in perpetuity. So that's why that was an issue. We had been working on things, and they failed. So the only thing that's working right now is we did buy a pump for the influent pump station when it went out, and we bought a second one for the shelf, but each one of those pumps are about $25,000 a piece.
I think the real kind of heart of the question, though, was also just the planning process from our perspective. So, I mean, and I kind of pointed out, and what I was saying earlier, we're getting more robust with that. We started it, so we're trying to be more robust and be more thoughtful about it. But I mean, with the age of equipment and things of that nature, I mean, that's what we take into consideration. We're always striving to be better and more ahead of the curve, I think, is probably the long and short of it.
But the bottom line is it costs money to build that critical inventory.
Right, exactly.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the town of Louisa owns the regional wastewater treatment plant.
50%.
Yeah, 50%.
They own the land that it
Oh.
sits on.
They do own
Yeah,
the land.
yeah.
And that facility, having the county subsidize a portion of it is actually a savings to the town of Louisa, because if the county wasn't subsidizing those costs, they'd have to bear the costs
They'd have to pay for
100%
both of them.
themselves.
That is correct, but we also only have 50% capacity allowance because the county has the other 50%.
That was an agreement between the town of Louisa and the
Correct.
county
So
when
they're
they,
getting something out of it, believe me.
Well, they're paying for it, and they're paying you for water.
So, understood. Any other, Mr. Babiak?
Bob Babiak, out in the Wild West of the farthest west of our county in Green Springs District. I just wanted to present a concept to all of you and the fact that all of the residents have to place a lot of trust and faith in your group because you are dealing with the details, you are dealing with the facts. And that's important to all of us. And I think most of us, since there were a number of years without any increase, and then all of a sudden we've had two, and now this is a proposed third. So I think all I'm asking is that you give us a reassurance that you have investigated all the options, all the alternatives, and trying to come up with some kind of confidence builder to us so that we feel that this increase is justified.
Can I address that? So every year I'm tasked with providing a budget to the board for their approval. This year I came to the board and said, we need a 12% increase to hire the people we need, continue our critical inventory. And the board said, no, you have to cut positions, you have to cut training, you have to make cuts. We can't cut things that require us to meet compliance. I mean, there's just no way we can do that. So the board had me cut things like training for staff, positions. We deferred a few positions and we eliminated a position this year. That all being said, that drives our overtime costs up because we can't leave until we can leave. And we couldn't leave the Route 15 site without restoring service. And I would like to remind everybody, the city of Richmond was out of water for 3 weeks. We were out for part of a day. So I think my staff did a phenomenal job getting that back together. We met all the regulations. Boil water advisory is a regulation that we have to follow. It's out of an abundance of caution for the safety of our customers.
Thanks, Pam. Yeah, I just kind of clarify that we're not cutting existing positions. We're
Not
cutting-
existing, no, we just didn't hire
We're
any.
delaying some hiring and we're planning appropriately to make sure we're not putting any kind of undue burden on any kind of increase to our customers. So, anyhow, all right. Anybody else? All right, that let's move along to consent agenda. Any questions for Pam on the consent agenda?
I missed this in my notes at the last meeting, but I was asked the question about our credit card balance is kind of high every month. So I had Amy go back and do an accounting of that. We have reoccurring costs on our credit card, and we did that to earn points, which helps us with office supplies and things like that. And we can stop paying them with our credit card and go back to issuing checks, or we can continue to do that with our credit card. Those monthly reoccurring fees are $5,250.
Okay.
So how would the board prefer?
Out of that 8,000 that's on here.
I'm sorry.
Out of the 8,000 that's on here.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Can we continue to pay with the credit card, but run it through the general ledger so it shows up in reports?
We do, we break it down. in-
Okay, I know that we have that. I know the last discussion I was involved with, there was one line item in here that was a lot of expenses, and they were all, I don't want to belabor the group with going through and trying to find it now, but
That's the credit card.
yeah.
And we only have the one, but we have 5,250 monthly reoccurring costs, and we pay those so that we can get points.
Right.
So,
You pay the credit card in full every month.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
You pay the credit card balance in full every month.
every month, yes.
So
yes.
you issue a check and you pay the individual item, or you put it on the credit card and you accumulate the points, which you
Right.
can use savings for.
Right.
It's just you see the $8,000
Right,
instead,
right.
and if we all remember that that's 5,000 of that is for reoccurring charges, it could be put on a check itself. Makes it a lot easier. And they are going into separate general ledger items.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
So- I'd say leave it there.
Yep.
Move to approve.
Motion approved for Mr. Hardy.
Second.
Second for Mr. Keys. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Moving on to old business, item 5.
At the Northeast Creek Water Treatment Plant, the incline plate settling project has reached partial substantial completion. Full substantial completion will be reached when the valve actuators are fully operational and integrated with the MRI control system. Full completion will be obtained after all punch list items have been completed. So we're getting close to the end of that project.
Any questions or comments for Pam? Moving on to the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service.
It's probably been about 18 months. I submitted an application, a package to USDA NRCS. NRCS is the Natural Resource Conservation Service, to get a 100% planning grant for the upgrade of the Northeast Creek Dam. If you recall, we did that for Bowlers Mill as well several years ago. They will review and score our application and put us what they call in the queue. So when the time comes up for our design to begin, they will contact us and tell us that the funding is available. So just wanted to let you know that I finally got that letter after 18 months of slinging it out with them.
Excellent. Any questions or comments on that? All right, moving on to fishing permits.
Okay, the Board of Supervisors passed a resolution that they were not going to charge for Bowlers Mill fishing permits and that we were going to issue those. We have been flooded with people getting Bowlers Mill fishing permits at no cost, passing them out. At our April 9th meeting, we talked about this as far as not charging for the Northeast Creek Reservoir permits. Now, to fish at either location, you have to have a permit or you'll be considered trespassing. And we need to kind of know who's going to be in and out of there. That's why we want to issue permits. We decided then we were going to sell Northeast Creek permits until January 1 because we sold annual permits through this year. And I want to make sure that that is still the directive of the board, that we are selling permits until January 1, and we are just handing out Bowlers Mill permits now at no cost to anybody.
I thought the only reason we said that was because we didn't know when the board was going to take action.
Right.
So,
Well, I think there was some concern that we would have to issue refunds for a lot of people. And so
Midway through a year,
I
calendar year.
built that in the budget for half of a year of selling fishing permits.
And the permit works at both locations right now, or is it separate?
What?
Say it again?
it works
permit-
at both locations,
It's
yes.
permits for both
We are
locations.
gonna,
One permit.
our intention is January 1 to issue a permit that will allow people to fish at Northeast Creek and Bowlers Mill at no cost. But right now, that's not the directive I have from the board, so I wanted to make sure that that is, I think there was some not sure when the Board of Supervisors were gonna do it. I built that into the budget, and so I just want to make sure that we are handling this properly from the board's direction.
If I remember right, we were just trying to follow the proper legalese as to when it needs to be done with regards to the separate entities and who owned what. Now that the board has voted, I'd be glad to make a motion that we stop charging the fees, create one permit
Effective July 1st.
effective July
Second.
1st.
Motion for Mr. Fowler, second for Mr. Hardy. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Should have added the discussion. I would say that if there is any pushback from somebody that has bought a
Just recently.
$10 permit and wants to get a refund for half of the year, that have them submit that to the board and we will consider it.
Okay, do you want to amend the motion, or
Well,
do you
that's-
want to
I
do
think
another
that's-
motion?
Let's make it a separate motion.
That's a separate motion, yeah.
Yeah, so motion for partial year refund if anybody requests it. Wait a second.
Did you make that motion?
I was just having a directive that you collect that information if somebody does that and bring it to the board, and then we'll decide what we're going to do
Oh, okay.
about it.
So not even a motion.
Just a direction.
Got it.
Okay, all
Well,
right,
we can, take it at that point in time.
okay.
Makes sense. All right.
I hope people will understand that if gas drops to $2.95 this week, we're not gonna give rebates to somebody that bought gas last week at $3.15.
All right, I think we're good there. Moving on to new business, the 2024 annual audit.
The annual audit, the final format is in your packet, and from Mike Moran, CPA with Robinson, Farmer and Cox, we issued an unmodified, clean audit opinion on the financial statements of Louisa County Water Authority for the year ended June 30th, 2024. In addition, we reported no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in our government audit standards, report, or internal control, and on compliance and other matters. The total net position of LCWA was $24,684,175 at June 30, 2024, compared to $25,132,906 on June 30, 2023. Of that total net position, $1,152,315 and $1,603,884 was unrestricted at June 30, 2024 and June 30, 2023 respectively. The total net position decreased in 2024 by $448,731 compared to the decrease in net position in fiscal year 23 of $226,668.
Any questions for Pam on the 2024 audit?
We need a motion to accept the audit, right?
Yep.
So move.
Motion from Mr. Fowler, second from Mr. Hardy. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the audit has been
Just
accepted.
a comment, nice job by you and your team on that. I mean, to avoid a significant deficiency or material defect is a big deal. That's the kind of, that is a act of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point there. All right, reports.
Okay, at the end of May 2025, the static well levels are up on average 3.22 feet from the end of April 2025. From May 2024 to May 2025, the well levels are up on average just under 3 feet. The DEQ Environmental Quality Drought Map shows normal conditions for precipitation, groundwater, reservoir levels, and stream flow. The U.S. Drought Map indicates normal conditions across all of Louisa County. On June 2nd, the Department of Environmental Quality updated their drought advisory, lifting the drought watch for Louisa County. The past due balance in your report, the update up to that, the past due balance was reported at $42,223.77 past due. As of the close of business today, it was down to $6,162.34. James River Water Project, June update. The planning and preparation work to begin the Rivanna River crossing is underway. On June 10th, 2025, a turbidity curtain or screen has been installed in the river in preparation of building a temporary cofferdam. And just for your information, a cofferdam is an enclosure in the Rivanna River to allow dewatering, diversion, and damming of the enclosed area. This will create a dry area for construction to continue. Controlled blasting will be conducted in the river. Faulkner expects to be halfway across the river by mid-July. The Rivanna River crossing is considered risky and dangerous, and they also say very exciting. I'm not sure about that, but we'll let them have that. The mass excavation crew arrived the week of June 9th at the pump station site. Cultural resources field work is complete, and the only thing we're waiting on now are the reports to be finalized. The intake construction on the James is scheduled for the summer of '26. I wanted to give everybody an update on the two most recent boil water advisories that we have had. Over at the lake, we had an electrical failure and had that system out for a couple of hours, but we were able to restore that, and the electricians have been in and made some changes to that. Evidently, when you replace a well, there is a break-in period, and it can pull more amps in it through the breaker. The fact that we didn't, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the fact that we don't have any communication, we didn't know that pressure had been lost until we started getting complaints from the citizens. The other one, we had a water line break that affected 2 homes in Spring Creek. It was the service line. and the Department of Health, which this is kind of unprecedented for us, but the Department of Health made us issue a boil water advisory for those 2 residents. We shut the water off at the Corp stop, repaired the service line, and they were back up in business in short order, but the health department said we still had to do that. And again, I think this is created by the issues that we had in Richmond, not we, but the Richmond had.
And the service lines are installed by builders, right?
By
Not-
developers, yes.
And we have to maintain those?
When it's on our side of the meter, we have to maintain it. So when it comes off the main to the meter, that's ours.
Okay.
At the meter is the point of transference. The Board of Supervisors passed a resolution June 2nd recognizing my staff for their efforts that we, under the pressures and issues we have had. I'm inviting all my staff to be there, as many I hope will be there that can be. I think it's important for the Board of Supervisors to see a face of the authority, and my staff is definitely the face of the authority. And I would also like to invite you all, if you can be there, at 6 o'clock, June 16th, in this room, to see the staff and get recognized for their efforts. So that was very appreciated. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Pam on her report? All right, let's move on to committees. Personnel Committee.
Danielle was asked to provide a condensed version, if you will, of the career lattice, and she's here. It's in your agenda pack, page 85 and 86. If you have any questions, she's here to answer those for you.
We talked about this for a few months now, so I know we've had some kind of in and out and as far as who's in the meetings here the last few months, but I think it's important for retention of our staff. It's important for training to consider this. It is budgeted in the budget we approved, I believe, correct, Pam?
Yes.
So with that, do you have any more comments on that front?
I don't have any comments, but if you have questions, if there's something that isn't clear in the overview that I gave, I'm more than happy to answer it.
Okay.
And just to remind everybody, we did cut the training budget. We will work within those constraints. But this year would only be the training piece of this, the first kind of step if we launch this July 1st.
Okay.
I think this looks really good. What I would request of you folks is just statistics on adoption. This is a voluntary.
It is a voluntary
Program.
program, and currently there's 5 to 10 employees that are interested.
Okay.
Depending on the direction that it goes.
Out of a total of what's your
Of
total?
25.
Okay.
And also to clarify, this does not pertain to licensed operators
Right,
because
right,
they
that's
get,
clear in here.
we pay for their training to keep their license and all of that, so.
Right. No, it looks really good.
Okay.
Anyone want to adopt this? I think we probably need to vote on the structure of it, right?
You just want a motion to accept this as presented? I so move.
Motion for Mr. Wilson.
Second?
Second for Mr. Hardy. Any further discussion?
Are we just leaving it open-ended with predetermined? I mean, we're not
This is building.
fixing an amount there, or?
This is building the foundation for the program
Okay.
itself. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay. Short notice items.
Okay, I was asked in our 5-year capital improvement budget that we've been building, one of the things that that we had in the fiscal '26 budget was a way to communicate with the well system, know what levels are over at the lake, where we just don't know because we're not there like they are at the plant. And we had looked at this, we've looked at this a couple of years and a couple of budget years, last year and this year, put it off. But I think that the failure that we had, the electrical failure, brought this up to the forefront so that we have the ability to know. We would have known we were losing water in the tanks and the pressure was dropping. We would know that if we had a communication system. We had a budget number of $40,000. Cody went to work and tidied up the proposal, and the communication piece of it is $26,026. That does not include installation. We would have to have an electrician do that. We're estimating that to be $10,000 to $12,000. And we really feel this is something we need to move forward on sooner rather than later. It just gives us a little bit of time to get over there and maybe flip a breaker or reset something before we lose the entire system.
So the request is to approve an amount for this, this equipment installation. Sounds like it's just over 38,000 is the estimate, is that on the top end?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Questions or
You
comments?
said just over what?
Just over 38 between
Yeah,
26 for
38.
equipment.
I heard,
Yeah.
I heard 30. Does that include internet connection of some sort, or subscribing to somebody to send that signal back? Are we doing cellular connections? Wireless?
would be $15 a month recurring.
Okay, because they do have fiber up there for the apartments and for the businesses from iWest. I don't know whether you get it, I know you could get it to the wells, I don't know if you get to the septic plant or not,
This is just for the wells.
just for the wells.
Question, Pam. Is this new technology to the county, or is this technology we have installed in other areas?
We have it at, we have Dorset technology at the water treatment plant, and we have it at the wells at Zion Crossroads.
Right.
And I believe we have Dorset at the Zion plant.
Do-
I'm not positive on that, but I think we do.
And the second question, is this the only area that we should consider deploying this kind of technology? Simply because anything we can do to give you a head start to prevent future boil water notices or losing a system. Are there other areas that should be considered in addition to this?
I mean, probably, there are other areas, but we haven't looked at those yet.
Okay.
I was asked by the county administrator, had we known, could we have prevented or at least slowed it down or stopped it or maybe not lost the entire system? And the answer to that is yes, if we would have known.
Okay, and that was my third point.
We would get
You
low-level
think you would have saved the
alarms.
system and we would have averted a boil water notice?
I think
in the
we
event that
probably
had
could have
this?
gotten there in time, yeah.
Okay.
Do you believe that?
Can I address?
Sure, absolutely. This is Cody Langridge, our water operations manager.
So as a summary, from the time that we were handed this system, this is the second boil water notice. Both instances could have been avoided if we had received the alarm that the issue had occurred. It takes us about 30 minutes to get up there. We've got a half-day storage. We've got 2 booster pumps. Both of those boil water advisory situations could have been avoided. Additionally, the $40,000 quote that was issued in 2024, when that was looked at again in 2025, that had gone up to $46,000. So we worked with Dorset to get us what we need, nothing more, nothing less. Without communications up there, it's going to happen again. And that absolutely, to your question, could have been avoided.
Good deal. Thank you.
I think your question is really good. We should I think all the tanks have it except for what's at the lake, is my understanding.
All of our tanks have it, yes.
All the plants, all the tanks, all the wells, except the one we inherited up there.
And the town of Louisa has it,
Yes.
and you have access to that.
Town of Louisa uses a different provider, Rayco Alarm Agent.
Right.
We have Rayco alarms on our pump stations, so I think
But you get notification if their tank is,
yes.
where
Town of-
the level of their tank.
Yes.
Okay. So that just means the only one is the lake. Unless we're missing something.
Yeah, I'm thinking it is, but I haven't really thought through, so I'm not really prepared to say definitively that it is.
But I think it's something,
I think I think we've got to vote on a tactical approach. I think we need to take a strategic approach to this and look at the entire enterprise. Anything to make their jobs easier is a good thing. Anything to protect the citizenry is a good thing. And we're not talking about a screaming large amount of money here either. So I think you're spot on with what you're doing.
but I think it's a really good example for the folks that are sitting with us tonight to show what we run into oftentimes in systems, and this is a system that we were handed, that we're playing catch-up with to get up to where it needs to be with regards to how quickly we respond to issues. But anyway, did you motion?
I didn't yet. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I move we proceed with $40,000 not to exceed.
All right, motion out there.
Second that?
Second from Mr. Hardy. Any further discussion?
Is this just a low pressure or low water sensor, or can you actually interrogate it for a current reading?
This gives us eyes on everything at that facility to include the status of the wells, the booster pumps,
Okay,
tank
all right.
levels, treatment, everything.
Very good. Yeah, I think that's even more important.
Right.
Good question.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, moving on, we have closed session, so I will entertain a motion. We go into closed session under Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A8 for consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel, and Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 to discuss and consider personnel matters, including the discipline, appointment, assignment, performance, and salaries of specific appointees and employees.
So,
Motion for Mr. Keys,
Second.
second from Mr. Filer. All in favor?
Discussion.
Oops, discussion.
So-
Go ahead.
We have nothing left on the agenda after this, right?
Right.
So we have to go into closed session. If people want to leave, they can. And if they don't, we'll have to move next door to do the closed session in there. So essentially, the meeting is over, other than our closed session. We don't do any, typically don't do any kind of vote after that. But there may be one motion or something after that closed session based on what we've just read, just to fill you in on that. So,
Okay, thank you. All right, all in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're now in closed session.
I was just wondering if we had to move or not.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you, Cody. Sir.
It is.
Anybody following on it?
You are a lender.
Commercial banker.
It's a
Where at?
translation, what you ought
Partner
to
bank.
do is pay for everything.
Yeah, I'm probably talking.
And, just ask the county to look up all our GIS expenses.
Across from
and
Food Line.
we can afford it, blah, blah, boom, punch.
There you go.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm just checking my hearing, making sure it's right.
Guys, lending yet?
Let's finish that. I'll talk to you after. All right, we're now back in open session. Pam will now poll members certified that, to the best of your knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under Virginia Freedom of Information Act and as identified in the motion for which the closed meeting was convened were discussed and considered by the board. If any member believes that the board varied from the purposes stated for the closed meeting, please state so and the reason prior to casting your vote.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Filer?
Yes.
Mr. Keys?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Okay, we have, I don't think we have any actions out of closed session here. Next meeting date is July 9th. I will likely not be here, depending on how well my two boys play baseball. So we'll see how that goes. Mr. Woodward, do you have anything, any insight from the county perspective?
No, I just really look forward to Monday night with the recognition of Pam and staff and y'all's aboard. Probably really long overdue, but it's just a little, wish we could do a lot more than that, but it's just a way to recognize y'all's hard work and dedication. So look forward to everybody that can be there.
Thank you.
Just a short follow-up. We are working, the staff is working together to do a standard operating procedure. It's not intended to be focused on a water main break or a valve break. It's just any distribution incident that might occur. We are working with the county to come up with a way of communicating, making sure that everybody is notified. So we're working on all of that. That's probably long overdue, but we were incredibly lucky until the last couple of months, and it just seems like we have been absolutely snake bitten. So, but we are working to try to button that up and make sure we have people, you will do this, you will do that, and you will handle all the regulatory stuff. So we're working on that now. We're vetting that through everybody. I'm still waiting for one person to get back with me on that. But and then we're also working with the county communication officer. We got a meeting later, I think it's mid-July, to talk about making sure that we communicate properly. There was some miscommunication on a few things. For example, the Zion incident, UVA Health said they were out of water. They were not. So we were doing a boil water advisory for the entire system all the way down to Ferncliff. And then we realized that they had, I said, confirm that they don't have water, and they called back and said, yeah, we got water. I don't know who told you that. So down here, when we said the boil water advisory, the county put it out for the two towns. The two towns still had some storage in their tanks. They didn't need to go to boil water advisory quite as fast as we did, because we lost a foot in the tank every 5 minutes when that water line gave out. We're working to try to shore up that communication and make sure that miscommunication doesn't go out to the public. Because when it goes out through the county system, it's everybody in the county that signed up for that. So if we had people calling us on a well, I'm on a well, do I need to boil my water? No. So we're dialing in the more specific language that this is the area that we being impacted. So we are working on trying to shore that up, button that up, but it's been a long process. It seems like every time we get a chance to work on it, something else gives way. So we're getting there.
Hey Pam, just some feedback for you. The text messages you're sending are very helpful.
Yes.
Because as all of us, we're out and about and not watching email. So continue to do that. And if you feel text is not appropriate for some of the information that you need to communicate to us, do it in email. My ask is send a text saying, everybody check email for the latest update.
All right.
And then, because I think I missed an email and, yeah,
Okay.
it would help, but you're doing a nice job with that. You and your team are doing a great job with that.
Specifically, the news stations got it badly. You know, it's, Louisa County has a boil water notice. That was their news.
Yeah.
And
We're just as bad as Richmond, just like that.
That's because of social media.
Huh?
That is because of social media.
yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
One more thing, please. Thank y'all for passing and updating the fishing situation tonight. And you would not believe what a chore that has been, but that it's finished is an amazing thing. So thank y'all so much for doing that. And it's a lot of people in Louisa County that are going to be very appreciative of it. You know, it's not much, but sometimes it's the
Doesn't
little
take much.
things that people really do appreciate. So thank y'all.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
I will not be here on the 9th.
Well,
Nor
Jed
I.
won't be here either, so
I
that's
won't
getting our
either.
numbers pretty low.
Should we?
Jimmy,
I'll be here.
go to that county.
Go see the clerk.
That's 1, 2, 3.
I'll do it this week, yeah.
Should we look at the 16th, perhaps?
It's the pleasure of the board.
Does that work for more folks? The
I will not be
16th?
here the 16th either.
Now you're being difficult. pal.
Go to Nashville and vacation after Nashville.
Yeah, it's my wife's birthday, that ought to be perfect.
Schedule.
I will
We
say,
are being recorded and streamed.
I will say, if we have in the past, we've had it elected at the outset of a meeting a temporary chairman to chair that meeting. So we could do that if we have enough people here. But we're down to 4 if everybody else shows up on the 9th.
You can throw sticks. I'm completely comfortable with a Zoom meeting if you want to try that.
On which date? On the
On
9th still?
If you're at a baseball tournament, you might not be playing in the evening. You may
What
be,
about-
I don't
What
know.
about the second,
No,
like
that-
earlier?
Well, the second is problematic for reporting purposes for end of month stuff, and that's also end of
okay.
fiscal year for us too.
It's just an option.
You know, I definitely that's a good.
We
good
can
option.
try for the 9th, and if we lose anybody else, then we'll have to maybe reconsider.
Okay,
But
let's
you
just
don't have your chair or your vice chair here, though, do you?
we can elect a temporary chair for the meeting, like we've done that
You won't
once.
be
to
here the
know-
9th either?
I won't be here the 9th or the 16th.
Oh, so we don't have a vice or chair?
Right.
Got a lot of vices, but not.
It's happened one time though that I recall that we elected one during
We
the
did, yes.
temporary chairman for the meeting.
For a meeting, yeah.
I think David would do a wonderful job.
I could be here. I'm gonna be in Salvo.
I think I would be available on the 9th for a Zoom meeting.
Okay, I potentially could be as well, and
I'm fine with that.
I would not.
again, it's possible I could be here. So let's stick with the 9th and let's
I'm
pull.
not going to be on a meeting that night.
Let's just pull the others and make sure everybody's available on the 9th. So if Tom and Jimmy can be there, and Mr.
Okay,
Wilson and Bo.
Bo's not here, so.
Right.
yeah.
And
Okay.
let's stick with the
We'll
9th.
make him chairman.
And if we need to alter that, we can.
How about you, Tom? You want to do the? You don't care. Okay, we'll poll everybody and see where we stand on the 9th, and if not, then the 16th, does that work for you? I think you said that
It-
doesn't work for you.
Possibly could work for me. Again, I'll know within 2 weeks if I can be here on the 9th or not.
Okay.
I'll be either back from Georgia or coming back from Georgia. But long story short, I might have to go to Southwest Virginia for another tournament there on the heels of that.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from Mr. Hagan. Second from Mr. Wilson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are now adjourned.
What, now, where are you at?